right, John, I'm gonna hit the recording, right? All right, it's recording. And I'm admitting people at the same time.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome, Facebook. Our folks from Facebook, welcome.
Progress.
Peace and blessing, brothers.
Good morning.
Good morning. I appreciate y'all.
Good morning.
Family.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome, Facebook family.
Good morning. Happy Father's Day.
Thank you much.
Happy Father's Day to y'all.
Yeah, happy Father's Day.
Thank you. And good morning. Welcome, Adam. Good morning. Facebook family, good morning.
Good morning, Andre. Good morning, Omari. I just want to say happy Father's Day to y'all and happy Juneteenth, everybody.
Oh, for sure. Let's not forget Juneteenth, right? Happy Juneteenth, everybody.
Shalom.
Shalom, Catherine. Good morning. How are you?
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Alaikum salam. Doreen, good morning. Facebook, good morning. Martine.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning.
Nika, good morning. Sahura, good morning. I think we'll get started in a couple minutes. John, just let me know when we're ready to make a move. Good morning, Jacqueline. Good morning, Teresa. Just let me know when we're ready to make a move.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jacqueline. Good morning, Teresa. Just let me know when we're ready to make a move.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jacqueline. Good morning, Teresa. Let me know when we're ready to make a move.
It's time to get up.
Good morning.
Wake up, everybody.
Good morning, Jacqueline.
It's time to get up. Stay woke. Stay woke. Stay woke. It's time to get up. Stay woke. Stay woke. Stay woke. It's time to get up. We're healing, we're dealing, we're growing. Together, releasing. We're teaching, we're moving. Together, we're learning, discerning. We're striving. Together, we're leading, connecting, transforming. Together.
That was awesome. Yes, good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. This is section 611. I can't believe it. Yo, I cannot believe it, guys. This is so dope. So dope. Who would have ever thought that, when Wake Up Everybody started, that this, and the heavy lift of doing this every day would be an easy lift eventually, because how y'all keep it going, I have no clue, but y'all do it. And y'all show up every morning, every day, and create this community collectively, man. And it's just so dope, man. So I just wanted to say that before we get our session started today. But and again, to all the men, happy Father's Day. To to all the facilitators and all the admin. This is an all men's admin group today, specifically because it is Father's Day and we are celebrating and lifting each other up as we co-create our life experiences together. So I just want to say thank you, fellas. I love y'all and I appreciate y'all. And Dre, thank you for, creating this session for us to, have deep conversation and just celebrate each other.
Of course. So shall we introduce ourselves?
Most definitely.
Why don't you start off for us, Omar?
All
Although
right.
I'm sure most of us know who you are already, but
Yes, no, definitely. My name is Omari Maynard. I'm the co-founder of the ARIA Foundation. The ARIA Foundation stands for the Advancement of Reproductive Innovation through Artistry and Healing. I'm brought to you, this foundation itself and me as well has been brought to you specifically through Shamani Gibson, Shawnee's daughter and my life partner. And we, continue to celebrate her every day and love on her every day. But in terms of fathers, I am a father of 3. My oldest son, Uriah, is 15. And my daughter, Nari, is 5 years old. Kari is 2. He'll be 3 in September. Time flies, so that's who I am. Yeah, so go ahead and take it on.
All right. My name is Andre Nelson. I'm a healthcare analyst. I've been working in healthcare for a while. I actually started a company recently called Obsidian Perinatal Wellness, which is focused on trying to educate brothers, partners, husbands on how best to be a part of their pregnancy. I am a father of 2. I have a 3-year-old named Caden. Caden means young warrior. And I have a daughter that's 5 months old, and her name is Amani, and Amani means peace. And they both live up to their names. So they might make an appearance at some point today, but yeah, so this is a special Father's Day, the first one with my daughter. So, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to have this conversation with you all and bask in this beautiful energy for today. So happy Father's Day to all the fathers, and happy Juneteenth again to all of you, family. I'm complete.
All right, so we'll go ahead and get that first slide up. In the meantime, I just want to let you guys in on what the idea or what the scope of our conversation today will be. So again, today is Father's Day. So we want to take a deep dive and a look into, what it means to be a father, what our fathers meant to us, and how we want to really intentionally not necessarily recreate, but just think about how we want to father in the future. How we want fatherhood to look in the future. I think that specifically for, just black and brown people, like our relationships with our fathers can sometimes be rigid. Just because of the simple fact that there are just so many obstacles that Black men have to deal with, specifically in America. So it's hard sometimes for proper relationships to get built. It's hard for proper structures to get built within the community so that, collectively we can see what fatherhood is, and some of it has been jaded over the years. But I think that, and as we will talk about today, this resurgence of specifically Black men and how we decided and how we choose to raise our children has kind of just been different from what it was when we were growing up, So I feel like the shift is happening. I feel like, of course, there can be more. And I think also to everybody's, and I know everybody's situation is different, right? So I feel like this would be a really dope conversation to have to, get everybody's perspective on the topic.
And just to piggyback off of that, Omari, I think, once our slides get up, I think it's good to level set in that, data has shown, the CDC has shown and supported that the roles of dads are evolving. Dads are becoming much more involved in their family lives, but more important than that, Black and brown dads are much more involved than the myths that are being perpetuated about Black fathers not being involved in their family and not being involved with their children. So I think that's a great point of discussion because fatherhood looks different for every family, for every person, and I'd love to hear from the community, especially the women, about how their fathers, their presence or their absence, has shaped who they are as individuals. Because both the presence and the absence definitely plays a role into who we are and who we grow up to be. So I'm looking forward to that.
Definitely. So with that said, let's just have our first call to action. So I want everybody to type in the chat, or and also Facebook as well. So they'll be coming in on Facebook as well. So I want you to type in the chat what type of relationship you felt like you've had with your father. Was he active? Was he present? Was he non-present? And if there was a lack of presence, was there a father figure in your life? So just type real quick, real simple. We'll give you guys a couple of minutes to put that in the chat so we can start our discussion.
Just repeat that one more time for us, Omari.
Yeah, definitely. So the ask is for the family to type in the chat what kind of relationship you had with your father. Was he present? Was he not present? Was he active? Was it, fatherish? And if there was a lack of presence, if there was a father figure in your life.
Oh.
Awesome. We're getting some great activity in the chat. This is awesome. Come on, can you peel off a couple of these and we can start talking?
We
You're on mute, Kamal.
Yeah, we have some shares in the chat. The first one came from Martine. Sorry, that's first one came from Catherine. He was not physically present for most of my life. However, I kept him present in my heart and in my heart of that looked like
Resentment. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is interesting. Sorry. I just want to talk about that real quick. 1 second. To not have your father in your life physically present, but to keep him in your heart, whether that be with a mixture of love and or resentment, hate, that has to play out, in your life. That has to play out in your relationships with men in general. I guess I'm just curious, like how does that play out? How does that play out when you hold this feeling of resentment for your father? Now, when it comes to a relationship, how does that play out in the relationship? Just out of curiosity, Catherine.
We looking for a voice?
Please.
Oh, relationship. How does it play out when?
Sure. Like, does it play out? I mean, I don't want to be presumptuous.
No. You know it plays out. You know it plays out. So the words that I would use on this day would be identifying with the men that were in my life. Always had to be older. I didn't date. I didn't have relationship intercourse with young people. Never ever. And had my first son when I was actually 15 years old. And then 2 months later, after he was born, I turned 16. And so the relationships were such that I liked them. They looked healthy to me. They made me happy. On the surface, of course, and then poor choices later on. And poor choices later on. So, of course, today, not of course, but however, today, I hold nothing against my father. I recognize he did the best he could. However, I do recognize that for the large part of my adult life, my conscious life, it was disappointment, resentment, hurt, because I longed for what I thought was the father role in exchange with daughter. Because I watched a lot of television. Leave it to be the Beaver, Father Knows Best, and those type of things that have very little to do with people of my culture. So that's what happened for me. But I know man, I love man, I respect man. My father did not push me to not like man, and I do like and respect, and I know how to exchange with man. So that's pretty much how it played out. And I gave birth to 2 sons, and that of course is a blessing. 44, 45, and 36-year-old men now. So yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you, Catherine.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Catherine. That as I'm reading the chat, as Catherine and Dre were talking, it's very interesting. It's super interesting because a lot of us have had absent fathers, or who have had fathers who came in and came out, and trying to figure out what fatherhood is and what a father's supposed to do kind of on your own. But there were a couple of people in here as well as myself, and I don't know, we'll talk about this in a little while too, Dre. My dad was present. I saw him a lot. He didn't live with us, but he would come by and pick me up every weekend until I was about 12 or 13. We could kind of we'll talk further about that in the later on in the session, but just him being there and knowing that who my dad is and have a relationship with him was cool, but it still for me wasn't as full as I want. And I bring that up because I think as we kind of all become adults, we realize that our fathers are humans, they're just people trying to figure it out and trying to navigate the world. And I think during the time that, just the scope of what the America and the world looked like when we were children, it was very hard, I guess, for people to kind of figure out who and what fatherhood was for them, because of the fact that they didn't necessarily see that when they were growing up as well. There was a hand, it just went down. I want to definitely address who had their hand up.
Peace. It was Abimbola.
Thank you, Abimbola. What would you have like? Can you please add, please?
Okay, thank you. First of all, thank you for being there. And Omari, I want you to give DC my greetings.
Most definitely will.
Okay. So my father was present and distant. He and my mother separated when I was 2 years old. And I was the 7th girl, but he lived like around the corner. So he was always around. And so the other thing is he set the standard for me, because he worked. When I was born, and I'll be 77 this year, he worked for the Tombs. He was an elevator operator working for the city. And so he always worked and he always provided. He always took care of his children. He had 8 children. So what happens with me now with men, and I meet brothers, they have to work and they have to provide. And that's my standards. And I get in trouble because I judge. And my father set an example. I don't care if he wasn't living in the house, but he took care of his children and he always worked. And, but I can't say I don't have that memory of me ever sitting on his lap and him telling me he loves me. I don't have that memory, but I do have the work ethics and the providing because he took care of us until we were grown. And I'm complete. Thank you.
Thank you, Abimbola, for sharing that. I'd like to just talk real quick. Zakiya, she mentions her father was very Bermudian. He was present yet distant. There was a love that showed up as very confusing for me. We didn't become close until much later. I made my father a father on Father's Day. I was born on Father's Day. So shout out to Zakiya. Happy birthday, or Zakiya. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing.
Sister Zakiya, happy birthday.
Okay. I do want to bring something up because I am first generation Jamaican. I'm sure there are other people from the islands on this chat, and Zakiya brings up a good point. When it comes to fathers being present, my father was present, old school Jamaican guy, but he wasn't super active, nor was he super emotional. So I think this is something that we all might share as people from the islands. You have fathers that are maybe strict, maybe a little bit on the strict level, that show up, protect, provide. Like Abimbola said, they show this example of work ethic that I think gets instilled in us at a young age. Yet at the same time, they aren't the most emotionally available men to go to talk to about feelings and other things like that. So, for me, I think one of the things that I kind of long for, even though my dad was there and even though he was in the house and he worked, he set a great example. There was nothing that I think that I ever went to him to talk about. We didn't talk about sex. We didn't talk about girls or love interests. We didn't talk about any of that stuff. I feel like I didn't feel comfortable really going to him to talk. I'd rather talk to my boys about it. Maybe even my mom once or twice, but really when it came to the emotional stuff, I don't think my dad was really open for that. So, how that plays out now is being in therapy with my wife. It takes a while for me to acknowledge what my feelings are and then be able to verbalize them because I've never really done that growing up. So I feel the feelings, but sometimes I don't know what it is that I'm feeling. I'm not able to verbalize what that is, And so in thinking about the topic of what this conversation is, what does our father mean to us? He means the world. Yet and still there are ways and things that he has done and has not done that I'm holding on to consciously and subconsciously and trying to work through those things. So I just wanted to share that. And thank you, Zakiya, sorry.
Yeah, definitely. It is about 7:30. Can we pull the slides up really quick?
Sure, get that up for you.
Yeah. And as we get the slides up, thank you, Kamal.
And also thank you to everybody in the chat so far. Some of these comments I see are, they're pretty deep. So I want to thank you for sharing and being vulnerable and opening up on the chat. We see what's going on. We might not get to every comment, but I'm definitely reading them and thank you for being vulnerable.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this is perfect. Right there is perfect.
Right there is good. All right.
Yeah.
So really quick before we get there, Omari, I just want to put in the chat really quick. I'm gonna drop. I'm an analyst, so this is what I do. I'm just gonna drop a report from the CDC from back in 2013. This report is talking about the father's involvement with their children, a study that was done, and this talks about fathers changing diapers, being involved with childhood activities, eating with their children. It talks about all kinds of things. But at the end of the day, why I'm sharing it is because Black fathers are the most involved fathers out of all races.
Mhm.
And this was done back in 2010. And it struck me because I was like, there's this myth that we're not involved, that we're not around. This article from the CDC talks about in detail how much we actually are involved, and we are much more involved than any other race. So take a look at that whenever you get a chance. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. And yeah, we definitely thank you for bringing up the chat too, right? Because we definitely have to talk about some of these comments. And this session, we're gonna probably need to do another one of these because
I think
it's
so,
a lot
I think
to
so
unpack.
too.
There's a lot
There is a lot.
for
There is a lot.
everybody, and it's a conversation that we don't have, and as a father, and just as a human being, the thing about life is that you want to learn from other people's accomplishments, but also mistakes as well, right? So this is holistically for everybody, just a very good piece of information and dialogue. So just really quick, Jacqueline, if you want to come on and speak, that would be greatly appreciated because I want to kind of unpack some of the things that you posted.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good
How you
morning.
doing?
I wasn't trying to come on, but let me come on.
Thank you. We don't gotta go super in depth, but like the reason why I asked you to, because when I read your first comment, you said you had the benefit of having two fathers present. I was like, oh, that's awesome, yo, because you could barely find a father on the block, as let alone, like having a father in your house, so just the fact that you had two fathers present was dope. But then when when you kind of left your longer post, I thought of something that was, it was jarring for me just because, and Shamani would say this as well, like her and her father had a weird relationship, but she made sure that she put her time and effort into creating a new relationship with her dad. And one of the things that she used to say a lot was that growing up, her father pretty much wasn't ready to be a father. So him being in their life was more toxic than him being away, right? And then reconnecting with him when they both had a chance to be adults and have real conversation, so can you just please tell us about like you having these two fathers in your life and it not necessarily being the best, but at the same time learning from both?
Well, it's so funny because when I sat back and I typed that, I was like, well, actually, I've had several fathers in my life, not just two, but the two main ones, the ones who claim me as their child. One I didn't meet until I was 19 years old. The other one I grew up with, he's on my birth certificate, and he actually is my biological father. I found that out through Ancestry.com because, it was very complicated. So the other man believed until the day he died that he was my biological. And I'm glad I had him in my life because of his example and the way he was. And the way he supported me in education really pushed me to do the things that I've done in my life so far. So I'm grateful for him. The father that I had at birth, he was that father that came home and tickled your feet late at night and brought you food that your mother, told him not to bring. And, when McDonald's first opened up, he come in there with that and played boogeyman with us and all of that. But he just was not good to my mother, so she had to leave him. And then she met a wonderful guy who was there with her up until he passed away about 10 years ago. But I've had all these fathers in my life, and but she did marry one who was a molester and created havoc in my life for a period of time. But I've since then been healed from that, and I see the value in everything that I've gone through. So I take the lesson from the bad, and I love on the positive. And I am so proud and happy to have had most of the men that I have in my life in there. My son is a wonderful father. He didn't have the benefit of his father in there, but he had a stepfather, my husband, who's in here to raise him. And I'm just really proud of you guys and happy to see you guys and just know that fathers are extremely important. I don't think that I would be as confident as I am without them. I don't know what it would be like to be raised in a household without having the benefit of a dad. So I want to thank you guys for being the fathers that you are and being in your children's life. You have no idea how valuable you are. And I want to
Yeah.
say thank you and love
Thank
you.
you, Jacqueline.
Love you
Thank
too.
you. Thank you for sharing that.
Definitely. Powerful, powerful, powerful.
Definitely.
I
I,
see that Sister Teresa's hand is up as well.
oh,
Teresa,
definitely.
Teresa, let's go to Teresa, and then I wanted to speak with Martine because Martine
Um,
brings up some great points.
peace and blessing, family. Thank you, to all the fathers that's here. Thank you for all the fathers who've fathered me along with my father. Me and my father had a weird kind of relationship because he worked a lot, and one of the things that I felt about him when I was younger is that I didn't feel like that I was like that special little girl. I seen him do it with my sisters and brothers for a long time. I was out seeking men, who I was seeking for men to give me that love, and so I got myself in a lot of trouble. I had a baby when I was 16 years old, and that was very challenging because our relationship really did not start like really start healing to like the last like 5 years. And really like after doing COVID, it's like really when we really just started healing. We had like a really breakthrough actually the last year. So like we really had a breakthrough because of I also was molested when I was young, and so I was mad with my dad because I felt like he should have protected me, and so I had a lot of anger with him. And I realized that the anger is what was making me sick. So when I started, getting well and looking at all the stuff that I was angry, I was just angry, 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 one big anger, angry child and angry woman. And so I started dealing with the anger and looking at, I came to realize that my father did the best that he could. They did take us, him and my mother, they took us a lot of places, but he was not around. He worked, he came home every Friday on a weekend. Some days he would not be home. And the reason why I feel like he wasn't home because my mother was schizophrenic, and we didn't realize my mother was schizophrenic until like we were really grown up adults. And so I was angry about that. I was angry. There's another place to be angry, but what I realized is that I am I am the awesome woman that I am, even with all the lack and all of the issues and stuff. I am the awesome one that I am today. So I'm thankful for every experience. It has not always been a good thing, but me and my son, is doing really, really good. And we laugh and we talk, and we've had some conversations that where I was able to express to him, why I wasn't loving with him, and so we're just working. We have a process thing, but what I can say is that through the stuff that I've gone through, um, with all my stuff that I've gone through, I'm not saying that it was a wonderful thing that happened, but I've gone through some process and I've been able to gain some really good insight about who I am as a woman and just standing up for myself, loving on myself because I did not do that for years. And so
Yeah.
I'm just grateful to be here and thankful for all your wonderful fathers. Thank you, brother Omari and Andre and all the guys and John and brother Kamal, everyone who's here. And I appreciate y'all. And
I
I'm good.
appreciate you.
Thank you,
Teresa.
Teresa, for
Thank
sharing.
you. Thank you. I
Thank
think it's important to to know that, and Teresa brought this up, which I think is amazing. Like, just really always figuring out how to, recreate a relationship, right? Teresa had her child when she was 16 and ended up, really trying to unpack her relationship with her father, during COVID, like it's a long time but at the same time, it's great because, you can always work on something. You can always change something, it's never too late to try to, fix a relationship, mend a relationship. Or just get certain things that are off your chest, so and in order to have those tough conversations, because the only thing that comes out of it is growth. So
I
thank you so
think to your point, Omari, I think I've been reading in the chat. There's a few comments about just the toxic nature of the relationship with their father, whether it be molestation or abuse of any type. That becomes a difficult thing to deal with. I can imagine. I haven't been through it, so I don't want to presume, but I can just assume that that has to be a tough thing to deal with, and have a conversation about as you get older, as you get into adulthood.
definitely.
So real quick, I just want to talk to Martine. Martine, can you hop on here and come chat with us, please? Because you had some really interesting things to say.
Here I
Um,
am. Can y'all
Hi,
hear me?
Martine. Good morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning.
So I know, I think from your chat that your relationship with your father was a little bit difficult. So how did that play out as you got older, and tell us about maybe your healing process to get through that?
Ugh, I,
If it's not too much, if it's not too much.
it's not really that it's not too much. I guess how it played out for me. So I grew up thinking that my stepfather was my father, and anybody could see from the family portrait that I was the black sheep. I looked different. Everybody knew except for me that my father wasn't my father. So I found out in a very weird way. My older stepsister told me, but she didn't tell me. She mentioned it because she thought I knew. And I feel like that's where everything changed. And that could be just my younger self making that up. But I had a terrible relationship with my stepfather growing up. I left when I was 16. So I would say how it showed up in my life is I became really, really independent. Um, but I have a great relationship with him now. I met my biological father when I was 21. I'm Haitian. He was deported to Haiti, and my mother kept him away from me. But he made every effort to see me. I found out about him when I was 16. One of my friends told me they were going to take me to go see this lady. I went to go see her, and she had a box of letters and things that my biological father had written to me. And she lived across the street from one of the schools that I went to, and she told me that he used to watch me. So that was very, very, very important to my life, knowing that he tried to be there. But when I met him, I don't want to say he was a bad person. How do you say this? He just, he was not a good role model. We'll just put it that way. I understood why my mother kept him away from me. And I mean, I'm sure it showed up, all of those, that's a little convoluted, right? I'm sure it showed up in many ways in my life, but reading the chat and listening to you guys, it's not really something that I've ever seriously considered, I guess.
Wow,
Thank you for sharing that, Martine.
yeah, definitely.
I'm sure that had to be a crazy experience to find out that your father wasn't actually your father in such a casual way,
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
And then also the fact that he was not present, but always watching, like that's like movie quality stuff right there.
Real,
Like that is ill. Do you feel like, I mean, obviously, you said he wasn't the best role model, right? But do you feel like he felt like it was important for him for himself to stay away?
No,
And
no. I have 11 other siblings from my father's side, and he was, as long as the mothers let him be active, he was active in their lives. That was very important to him. The best way I could describe it to you, oh my God, why is it failing me? What's the Colombian drug lord, narcos?
no.
Pablo Escobar.
Pablo Escobar,
You
yeah.
remember how he was
Yeah,
killing people and coming home and hugging on his kids?
yeah.
That was my dad.
Wow.
Oh,
Okay,
man.
so that makes sense. Especially in the islands, that's very
Exactly.
common, right?
You need to sell. You need to sell your story to some film
Real,
producer. This is a movie right here. Wow.
honestly. But that just goes to show the power of the presence and or the absence of
Mhm.
the father.
Yeah.
It's really, and you know what, Martin, you also said that it's not just the myth that fathers are not present. Like there are fathers that are absent, that are not showing up to do their duty, and that is a fact. So we wanna, like you said, give a shout out to the fathers that are actually showing up and doing what they have to do, and not excuse the ones that are not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Mhm.
So that is correct.
Yeah, and in my work, I teach child sexual abuse prevention. And I have a campaign called Single Mother's Day. And over the years, I found how many single fathers there are out there. And I always want, so Single Mother's Day is just an award ceremony. And I wanted to do it for single fathers, but they always take on the attitude. I think that's changing as of late, but it's always like, oh, they don't want to be recognized. They don't want to be recognized as what they're supposed to be doing anyway. And I understand that. And a lot of times when we sit in awe of a father who's taking care of his child, we turn around and we say that is what he's supposed to do. But when the culture, and I don't want to blanket, right? But when we see enough evidence, let me say that, in the culture that fathers are absent, of course we're going to highlight the ones that are. And it's proven that more child sexual abuse happens in single parent households led by mothers. I was
Mm,
sexually abused in my home with my stepfather home because of because I think that predators could see the strain in our relationship. So I have also campaigns that invite fathers to be involved in child sexual abuse prevention, whether you're in the home or not, because fathers just don't understand how important they are. The fathers who choose to be absent, or let me not say choose, for whatever reason they're absent.
yeah, yeah. That's important. Please share that information with us. I feel like we need to share that information with everybody because with a 5-month-old daughter, I don't know. I don't know how to even go about trying to prevent that without being on some army stuff with guns and all
Yeah.
kinds of crazy stuff. So thank you for sharing that, Martine, because that's super important.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I will do.
Um, so I think it's
Right, brother.
7:52. Why don't we
Uh,
shift the conversation a little bit from what our fathers meant to us to now what it means to be a father, and for the women that are here, what does it mean to you to have your husband, partner, uh, you know, father of your children? What does it mean to for them to show up? How do you want them to show up?
yeah.
Mari, what does it mean to you to be a father
Um,
now?
no, I think this is definitely an excellent transition um, to talk about this now. I feel like from my personal experience, because as we're having this conversation, I'm really thinking about like how present my dad was, but how much influence I had, what I was given by other fathers or just other experiences that I've had with my friends. So that when I'm thinking about this, like I'm thinking about all of my friends, and it's so crazy because the friends that I have, I've had forever, pretty much. Like I've had the same friends since elementary school. Like a lot of my elementary school friends and junior high school friends, like we still are like tight till to today. And all the men that are in this group, all of them had their fathers at the house. And I'm just thinking about this now, like there's one, two, three, about 5 of us, and they all had their fathers in the household. And I think just that in itself is a direct connection of why we are still all tight and we still are all close today, because they have the balance of having fathers, their father and their mother in the house, and understood the importance of how to create on the things that it takes to create a strong relationship, right? and the ebbs and flows of relationships. And I think that, you know, so now to answer your question of what it means to be a father for me now, I think that that's like the most important piece to it for me, is like making sure that, you know, from a male's perspective, that the bond that you share with your child is something that is, and once you have your children, it's something that you need to really, really be intentional about. With my oldest son, he's 15. Me and his mother separated when he was about 3 or 4 years old. And I did my best, you know, to make sure that I was continuously in his life and saw him for a substantial amount of time every year. Like, so he lives in Florida. I moved to New York, but every summer and every Christmas, I'd make sure that I'd have him, you know, so we'd get a good at least 3 months out the year together. And at the time, I thought, you know, and, you know, I mean, I was doing the best I could to continue the lines of communication when we were not physically together. And I thought that I was doing a great job, you know, and I'm sure I did. But what I learned is, like, when I had Anari and Kari, like the everyday parenting is way different than, you know, being there 3 or 4 times out the month, which is cool, but it's not the same, right, at all. And I think about the relationship that I have with my oldest son now, and it's a great relationship, but it is not, it's nothing that can, there's nothing that I can do at this point that will help, you know, help the years that I missed with him and the time that I missed on it, being there for him on an everyday basis, you know? So like, as a father of 2 children now, and as a single dad, like that's something that I really think about a lot. Making sure that I foster the best type of relationship I can with my children, and just being present and being there all the time. And I also got to give a shout out to my brother as well. He is pretty much the same. He has 3 children as well. His oldest son, he you know, doesn't live with anymore, or separated when he separated from his son's mother when he was very young, when his son Josiah was very young. But like with his 2 children now, he has, you know, and his wife, like he's there every day, present all the time. And you know, I see my brother and his children. I see what he's able to create and how smart his kids are, and how that's a direct result of, you know, him taking care of business and sacrificing pretty much, and making sure that his children get everything that they need, you know. So as a present Dave now, like that's the goal, you know. That's the goal, is to make sure my kids are good, and then make sure that, you know, that I'm allowing other people to see what my relationship is with my children, you know, the good and the bad, but, you know, just honestly, just making sure that they see what active love looks like, you know.
I think you bring up a great point about consistency, and I think that's one of the things that I try to do as a father is, you know, eat the meals with them, cook the meals with them. Everything I do, I involve my son with. So he shovels snow with me. He'll cut the lawn with me. He's 2.5 years old right now, but he wants to be there and do all that stuff. And I think, to your point, Denise, what you just mentioned in the chat, I have seen the impact of sporadic connection with dads on women. They often have sporadic relationships with men and issues of abandonment. And that's a really important point. You know, I think the more consistent you are in your child's life, or can be, everything you do has an impact. You know, everything we do as fathers has an impact. And I didn't really realize that until a few days ago. And I was telling my friend about how my son likes to shovel with me and do all this stuff. And she was like, yeah, he really looks up to you. And I never actively thought about that, but I was like, oh, yeah, he does look up to me, and he does want to do the things that I do. And I think just taking that moment to let that sit in was like, okay, well, I need to be intentional about the things that I do, because the things that I do are going to hit a little bit different than the things that I say. So I have to show him what it means to love on his mom and kiss his little sister and take out the garbage and do all these things. I need him to see that on a consistent basis, so he realizes, and it starts to settle in his subconscious, that these are the things that my dad is doing, and maybe I should be doing, you know, good, bad, or negative. So that's why it's important to be intentional.
So really quick, with that said, excuse me, it's 8 o'clock now. Just want to, excuse me, acknowledge that if there's anybody who needs to leave, thank you for being present with us. Thank you for, you know, sharing your time and co-creating this experience with us. But of course, you know, we're going to be continuing on for a little while longer. So if you can stay, please, 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 please do. And more importantly, if you can definitely share and tell people that we're here, we're having this great conversation, and get them on for these last couple of minutes, that'll be excellent as well. But Dre, yes, it's crazy that you say that, because, you know, we go through life and we're just going, you know, we're just going out. We're not really kind of sitting and taking account of what's going on. So what, like, the other day, you know, like I work out, you know, and, you know, I do a lot of it in the house. So like the other day, a car he's walking around, and like one of the wheels off of his trucks broke. So it's just like the wheel, and then the middle piece. So he's taking the middle piece and he's walking around. He's doing this. He's like, yeah, so I'm working out now, Dad. I'm working out. And I'm like, yo, this guy is 2 years old. What are you talking about? You know? But yeah, so they watch, man. They watch. They definitely watch, and they see what you're doing as opposed to what you're saying. And for you as well, especially when your daughter gets older, like daughters are just so dope. They're just so dope, man. They're just so different too than my sons. Like Anari will definitely make sure, and I'm sure your daughter too, will make sure that the house is in order and that you're doing the things that you're saying, you know, because I've definitely been checked a couple of times by her in terms of like my tone, how I'm operating, the things that I'm supposed to be doing. But then she also does a lot of helping out as well too. So, and you know, it's just something that, you know, women innately have that we just don't, but it's so important to have that balance and to be appreciative of that balance. Yeah.
Definitely. We do have a few gentlemen on the call, so why don't we ask either Kojo Johnson, my brother, or Coach P LTD, or Adam. If you guys are fathers, why don't you share with us, you know, what it means for you to be a father?
Peace, peace. Happy Father's Day to all the brothers.
Father's Day, brother.
Happy Juneteenth.
Happy Juneteenth.
You know, fathers. Being a father to me is everything. I'm a father of 4 biological children and 3 by marriage. So that's 7 altogether. And I've been doing this since what? Hey, peace, brother. Good morning. I see you, little man. Yeah, I see you on the screen, bringing some joy, some light. Yes. Let me get my camera together. I'm sorry. I realized I'm laying down being lazy, y'all.
It's Father's Day, man. It's okay.
Right, exactly.
One day you can
you earn that. 7 kids, Lord have mercy. Be lazy.
Yes, sir. Okay. Y'all see me. Here we go. Yes, I see the sunshine. So actually, I had to put my camera on and get in some of that light with baby boy there. So, yeah, I've been doing this, been rocking this since 99. Yeah, my oldest is 24.
Okay.
I think I got that date right. And My CLE was 2002. Yeah, so yeah, man, doing this thing, and it's everything. My brother Kamal and I was talking about, recently, fatherhood and basketball challenges, and concept of moving through and helping them through their interests, developing interests as they move and grow. Yes, right. You gotta get these dates right. Because fatherhood, you're in the parenting, you're in the movement, you forget how old this one, you forget the names. What's your name? Get over. But it's the work, it's the nation building. This is how we build our nation. This is how we continue our families growing and our growth, our own personal growth, modeling, making mistakes, recovering from those mistakes, fighting for your time or reclaiming your time. Learning to be gentle, learning to recover from wounds that we carry from our own child experiences into our adulthood experiences. My anthem has always been to be as authentic and give my children their voice, speaking to them on their level, but speaking to them honestly. I've always maintained that, I want to have an open conversation, open dialogue with my daughters. And similar to what you were saying, Brother Omari, having older, my daughters are older, my sons are the younger ones. So going from having girls to boys is a head trip. It was, for me, was a head trip, I was like, whoa, this is different. This is going to be different. How is this going to be different? You know what I mean? Because that sensitivity of having girls first, or what we think, or what I associated and I thought of as sensitive, being a particular way because I have daughters. And then now I'm not going to say the word I want to say, the old crap. I have sons, and being a Black man, being a Black male, being a Black boy, and knowing what I went through, what I go through. I don't want to say it's a different kind of, no, I am going to say it was a different kind of thinking I had for my daughters than I do have for my sons. Because I know what my son's experience is, can be, and will be. And not to say that my daughters as women, as young women, are not going to hit these walls and hit these, have the same kind of oppressive and expectations and limitations put upon them. But for, the fear that we hold for our children, for our people, which leads us, this is not the motivation, but it leads us to continue to do the work that we do as being leaders, as being thought leaders, as being rite of passage facilitators, be mentors, be guides, be fathers, be present. You know what I mean? This, the mission of Black manhood and what it is to be a Black man and be a Black father, versus, or through the experience of what we may have been raised in or around with our Black fathers, uncles, big brothers, big cousins, big homies. you know, in the streets, in the schools, in academia, in the workplace. You know, these you know, rising to those expectations, you know what I mean? And then giving our sons and giving our daughters space, and be able to facilitate space for them, to be resilient, to be creative, to be expressive, to be themselves, be safe, be alive, be secured, be whole in finding their relationships, my daughters with their boyfriends, my sons with their future girlfriends, how to make these choices. You know, these are the thoughts, these are the things that are constantly going on in my mind, in my process, in my daily work, in my drumming, in my school classroom, the struggle with inside the DOE system. You know what I mean?
Like I think for me, like, and what kind of resonated with me with what you said is, and what I'm processing is like, when we're dealing with, or when we're not dealing with, but when we're, you know, with our children and trying to impart wisdom on our children and children's children, right? Just impart wisdom within the community and helping foster relationship in the community as a Black man doing this. Like it's something that it's something that we're pushing out all this information, but at the same time, like we're getting and we're changing ourselves at the same time, right? So like as fathers, as men, you know, in positions where we're influencing people, you know, and we're imparting wisdom on people, we're changing, and the dynamic of our relationships with ourselves, the dynamics of relationships with our brothers, our partners, our friends, ends up being changed as well. And I think that's the difference between, like, to bring it back to what we were talking about, I think that's really kind of the difference between fathers now and what we saw before. Because like, and this is everybody, whenever we're dealing with any type of trauma, we want, or just any type of situation, if it doesn't fit us, then we want to do the exact opposite of what that was, right? So like, it's for me, like, for when Dre kind of put those numbers out, it's not surprising that, you know, as Black men, we want to curate and cultivate our relationships with our family, with our community way more, and it's way more important and prevalent than it is in any other race, because of the fact that what we saw in the past is again what we don't want necessarily for our future. So, you know, we're changing it. I think the biggest thing though is that it's not seen. And I think that the most amazing part about that is that now, you know, in present day, like, we're really trying to create a situation in which it is seen and it is talked about and it is communicated. So like growing up too, like, and to your point, like, I didn't see any Black males in my classroom. Like, that wasn't a thing. It was all white Jewish women, basically. You know, nowadays, culture, like, you know, like we in there, and I know a lot of Black male educators, and it's just so important for our youth to be able to have those relationships with Black men on a daily basis, especially if they don't have their fathers in their lives, right? That's just one piece of this, right? And then also too, like, and I think about this with the Aftershock film. You know, me and my relationship and how they show our relationship with me and Bruce, it's a relationship in which we show Black men loving on each other and supporting each other, right? And being vulnerable with each other and and bringing those vulnerabilities and all those things that were kind of taboo one generation ago to light now, and showing that this does not make us less of a man at all. Like more than anything, it makes us more powerful individuals, right? And these are the things that we are really trying to show our children, like having an understanding of your full self is the most important thing, because that is the only way that you'll be able to really, you know, enlighten somebody else. Like if I don't deal with my traumas, if I don't deal with the things that are uncomfortable, then how can I impart wisdom on somebody else to help them do the same?
100%.
I think one thing that I think Shawnee put in the chat, and to your point, Omari, is being one with self and understanding self, especially to be there for children that are not biologically yours. So, you know, I want to give a shout out to all the stepfathers, all the fathers that have stepped in for children who are not biologically theirs. And I know that some of our family here have had experiences with stepfathers or fathers that are not biologically theirs and have stepped up to the plate to be there. So if anybody wants to share their experience with their stepfather, be it positive or negative, I invite you to come talk to us about that.
Yeah, as we set that up too, brother, I saw some hands that were up for some time that might be willing to respond to this question. Sister Terry, like to hear your voice. I see you raise your hand again.
Good morning. It is so good to see all the brothers together. I'm just vibing off of this energy this morning. My stepdad was not a good model at all. I think one of the most challenging things was that he decided, I did not know he was not my biological dad, but he decided to impart this information to me when I was about 16, which for me as a young lady was an extremely traumatizing time to tell me at that time, because as a teenager, I'm going through a lot of other stuff. And then for the bottom to fall out, it was a lot for me to deal with. Part of me was relieved because he was a very smart man, businessman by day and alcoholic by evening. So he was a functional alcoholic. It did leave me with a lot of questions at a time in my life that I was already trying to make my way to adulthood. So it was quite challenging for me. I had questions for my mom, who really could not answer a lot of them, but she was honest enough to say that she could not answer those questions. I think for me, my son has married into a situation where he now has 2 children. One is his biological child, one is not. Both dads are involved in his stepson's life, but he says one of the challenges of being in that position is that his wife does not always allow him to have a full relationship with the child that he has not given birth to, even though he very much wants that, and that they get along very well. He says he actually, the son that he did not birth, he says actually reminds him a lot of himself and some of the things that he wished he had gotten growing up from his dad, even though they have reunited and actually live extremely close to one another. So that's my share for today. It has left me with a lot of questions because it just left me with a lot of what ifs, you know, because I didn't have the opportunity to meet my dad or know about him. My mom said it was her choice she was a teenage pregnancy. She was from the South. You have to put it in the cultural context. Those things were very much shunned at the time. So it just left me with a lot of questions. And yeah, I did hear the father say that sometimes abandonment issues. And yes, I had to come to grips that I too had to work through some abandonment issues and continue to do so even in my relationship today.
Definitely. Thank you for
And
your
I'm complete.
You're on mute,
Thank-
Dre. You're saying something.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Terry, for sharing that.
Thank you. Yeah. If I can jump on, and I was somebody else speaking?
Yeah, I wanted to actually hear from Shawnee.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought someone was ahead of me. I think Catherine was ahead of me.
Oh, I'm
Omari.
sorry.
It's okay.
Catherine, definitely. Come on in.
You know I'm not ahead of you, Shorty girl. I'm next to you, beneath you, sister, coach, love. No, I'm hoping my son was on. I had invited him on. You guys were encouraging us to invite people, so he finally came on, and he's a new father. What I wanted to share with my experience with my second husband, beloved community, we already had our children when we got together, and he wasn't connected with his children, and that annoyed me. That came in the way of our relationship because of, from the top of this conversation, we were talking about how things impact us. And I was like, no, I'm not having it, because I couldn't understand why people in my family allowed my father not to be in my life, like his family. So when I got with my second husband, it was like, nope, that's not happening. Nope. We right here in the same borough. You got to be kidding me. Mm-hmm. So I insisted that he do whatever he could. I wasn't trying to make him to be a person that he wasn't. However, I was sharing with him the importance of being present in your children's life and then your children's life. My father did not know much to children. And so I wanted to throw that out there. And also what happened was I decided what kind of life I wanted to have. And it wasn't one of hatred, resentment, and anger. So I was blessed to have come to the aid of my father after he had a stroke. He lived in California, he had a stroke. And I went to California and took care of things until he died. And that was revolutionary for me. It was a release that you cannot believe, for me to go to him at a time where he couldn't talk. I'm waiting 40-something years for him to say, I love you, and talk to me. And I had to go to him when he could not talk or walk and be of assistance to him. So when we decide what kind of life we want to have, we actually have the power to create that life. And with that, I'm complete.
Thank you, Catherine, for that.
Speak that thing, girl.
Powerful.
Definitely. Super powerful. Sacrifice, sacrifice is that is what I took away most from that. And also too, Catherine, to be totally honest, what it is like, we all love to have sex. This is, but the consequences of that, are sometimes ones that we don't necessarily take into account, right? And we have these children and don't even know how to adult or, be present with ourselves, so let alone trying to raise somebody else. So proximity that's not necessarily an issue if you're not able to, again, be present and take care of your own self,
Ashe.
So, but, like I said, the fact that you sacrificed and, took the time out to build a relationship with your father in a time where he needed you the most. And again, it's something that's a woman thing, man. It's something that females, y'all just do so eloquently that as a man, I don't know, that I don't think that's really, I don't want to say it's not in us, but it's just not, it's just different. I barely, my son barely talks to me unless he needs something. And he told me he loves me. No, he does, but it's just a different energy, So just thank you for doing that and for being of service. and also being in those acts, you know, you being that model that you want your children to follow. And I'm sure that they recognize and see that as well.
I just want to say to that point also is what's so important about what you said is taking the power and empowering yourself. You know, you decide the kind of life you want to live, and you live that life once you make that decision. So thank you again, Catherine.
So I think we got time for one more share, and then we have to start wrapping up.
I think Shawnee was up.
Yeah.
Yes. Hey, good morning, brothers. Love y'all so much. So grateful for you holding space for the opening of Father's Day. So I wanted to talk about this piece around blended families based on my experience, what I've witnessed and also experienced firsthand, and just get your take on it and the other brothers in the space who may have this experience or just want to weigh in. So my grandparents raised me. And I didn't find out until I was 13 years old. This is similar to what Martine shared, that my grandfather was not my biological grandfather. Never considered it. It was not even in my airspace because he treated me so well, super proud of me, always championing the things that I did. I was his like secretary for his business. He had a home business and worked outside of the home since I was like 10. So super close in the way that he could be close because he was very emotionally muted. So when I found that out, I was devastated. And, you know, the secret keeping in families, who's the father, it's just all kinds of stuff. It's just mind boggling and can do a lot of damage. But I never knew from that man that I wasn't his biological grandchild. And I've watched, I'm a psychotherapist, so I've seen blended families where it's evident that there's a separation of treatment of the kids that belong to the man or woman or do not. And it's very, very heart-wrenching to watch that play out. I was also in a 7-year relationship where the person was super engaged with Shimani and Jasmine because they were born at that time. And, you know, he was around since they were like 2 and 3, maybe old, I'm sorry, 4 and 5. And he was very engaged in everything that they did, took them to their dance classes, did all kinds of stuff. But as soon as our relationship didn't work out, he was out and didn't engage with them anymore. And, you know, I was just like, how does one do that? He came back around much later to apologize and take responsibility and was like, he was heartbroken and he just shut down. But I was just like, yo, I get that things didn't work out with us, but like, what does that have to do with your relationship with the kids? So I wanted to talk about pretense, like disconnect. I've watched men and women pretend like they were engaged with the children, maybe not even conscious of the pretense, so that they could be with the partner and then not really invest. And I've seen people abuse children, not just sexually, because I know we talked about that a lot, you know, but just be distant, or start off with the kids. I watched this, I won't name names, but start off with the child being, or children being very important to them. And then there's a child born that is of that union. And then they shift gears and focus on giving love and pouring love into the biological child and kind of put the children that were not biological, that were around first, to the side. So I just want to talk about that. And, you know, Omari and I are in the unique situation where my daughter has transitioned, and what I think about a lot, which we don't necessarily talk about, but I'm very open to. I'm like, he's a young man, handsome, got a lot going on. So there's going to be someone that comes through, I pray, that you partner with. And I'm just like, I pray they're real. I pray that they're invested in all 3 of your children, you know, because it's so sad when they're not. And it makes me very emotional. So I just wanted to talk about that. Y'all look like y'all have the deer in the headlights.
That was a lot to process.
Yeah,
real
right,
quick,
exactly.
you know?
I'm trying to process it all. I think that for me, and just to talk about blended family, and it's a very touchy subject for me. It's tough because, you know, you want, and it makes sense, right? You want everything to work out between, you know, your new partner's partner, or the person who's going to be with your child, you know, your partner's new partner and the children and the family, it only makes sense because it only fosters a better person and better, you know, person for that child, right? So now instead of having one father, you can have two fathers if the communication is right, and also, you know, and also two mothers. Honestly, if you know, if you're in a relationship as well, it's just very touchy for me because when Uriah's mother and, you know, her partner, you know, are together, and when Shamani was here, and we had many conversations about really trying to create this blended family, and it just didn't work. It just wasn't what it was supposed to be. And honestly, there was more pushback on their side, like, nah, we're not doing that. You know, y'all do your thing and we do our thing. And that's just, I think more than anything, it's a mindset thing, one. And then two, is not something that you're ignorant to, the things that you just don't know, you know? So I think ignorance really played a big part into it. And two, and then three is like everybody has to be ready to unpack some very heavy things once that type of relationship is created. Because now we're talking about why you're not together. There's a lot of stuff that goes along with it. So I just don't think that they were ready. And then the fact that Shamani passed away, you know, it really sullied it for me because of the fact that we could have had something, or we could have created something that we cannot necessarily create in the same type of dynamic now, you know. But with that said, I think that it all comes with growth, you know, and what's important. And I think that if you are in a relationship and you have a stepchild, or, you know, a child that is not yours, and you're trying to create this blended family, it takes time, but it takes effort and communication. And we touched on it for a second, but you know, one, communication is it's relative, right? Like I might think I communicate well, but then I speak to somebody who really knows the effort that it takes, and might not necessarily be there. But I say that to say that it takes therapy or somebody who's a third party as well to help, you know, help those through lines, and create that ability to, you know, push certain things aside and really, you know, create and communicate with the common goal. But it's a challenge, but it is one that I feel like, you know, we touched on it a little bit earlier, that it can work. I think it works better now because of the fact that men, like Dre, the graphic that Dre put up, that men are, you know, we're here to, you know, take on all the things that we need to take on in order to make sure that our kids get the best of us, but the best out of, you know, the whole family dynamic in itself. Dre, please add something to this, because I feel like I was just rambling.
And actually, I think John is trying to hop in here.
Okay, awesome.
I would like to share on this topic, if you don't mind.
Please, John, definitely.
You're welcome. Add myself. So I am part of a blended family. My daughter has two younger brothers, one 6 years younger than her, and the other one 17 years younger than her. So to make this blended family work, the steps I chose was first acceptance that my daughter's mother was moving on with her life, and what we had, or what we were building, had come to a pause. So it's first accepting that. By accepting that, I was able to then support with the family unit that she was now creating. It was concerns on if she the father of her mother's second child, he lived in another state, and just being 6 years younger than my daughter, there was a question on whether it's okay for her to go live, because the respect was there, the respect, the love, even though we weren't together, was present. So in the discussion of her moving to another state to live, to move with now the baby's father, it was, how are we going to deal with this, and how am I, if I'm okay with it, so to speak. So I still have that part of a leader in the unit. And plus the father of the younger son, he was not emotionally mature. He still had traumas that were playing out in his family, and that started to leak into the relationship he had with my daughter's mom. So I played a part of leadership, not just for my daughter, but also for her mother, in dealing with someone who was totally unlike me, a lot of fire, and was starting to be a little bit abusive. During that journey, the question came up on how to deal with the abuse. From me dealing with my traumas, I was able to talk with her so she wasn't fighting back, which was causing more trauma. Visual trauma would cause more visual trauma within the home, because the last thing I wanted my daughter to do was to have this dysfunctional house, living with this dysfunction within the home. So I was able to balance that a bit. And then develop a relationship with the father, with the second father. I was a leader in my role and what I was doing very well. So he kind of looked up to me also. Then the fact that my daughter's mother respected me so much, he wanted that same respect. And I was able to coach her and to let him know, well, in order to get this respect, you have to be a certain type of man. You can't bring those dysfunction and traumas into the family. There's a balance. If you want that respect, do the work. He eventually did. He's now a teacher. He's turned 180 degrees around. And that was just coaching from a distance, because I wasn't even in the same state. That relationship resolved, and then there was another love interest who soon became a husband, and then another child, 17 years younger. We immediately, this man, who's now somewhat of my best friend, he's like a best friend to me, and we co-parent, not through my daughter's mother now, but we co-parent directly. We talk to each other. We spend more time interacting than I do with either my daughter or her mom. And this is now her new husband. So for me, the resolution was creating that bond with the mom, accepting where she's going, allowing her to choose and make whatever mistakes, but also building a relationship with the other men. Hey, I'm not a threat. I am a father. Since you live in a home with my daughter, I want to understand the principles, how you lead, but not outright saying that. Just know that that's my intention, and blending and creating a bond with the men in the relationship also. With that said, I was present at the wedding, actually a special invite, and all three fathers, the one being married, and then the other two, myself and the father of the second child, we both were present for the wedding. Very cordial, happy together. Definitely example of a blended family working. We all, at Destiny's graduation, my daughter Destiny's graduation, all three fathers show up. And that's where I met her first boyfriend. And we let him know, hey, look, Destiny has three fathers that are very present. So, don't start nothing. And I think I love this relationship. I love what we were able to build together. And I love the example that we set for other men or other women, to let them know that it is possible to have a blended family that works regardless. I'm not saying it's completely smooth. There were times where there were friction within the household. And fortunately, because of the relationship that we built, I had there was enough respect for me to come in to share an opinion of what was going on in the home, even though I wasn't the father that was actually present there. That's my share in a nutshell. Questions or comments?
We got rounds of applause for you, John. That's a beautiful example of what is possible, you know, and I think hearing stories like that just gives us all hope, like, okay, well, this can work. It can work with multiple people. If you dedicate the time, the energy, and the love into that, the acceptance, the growth, that's all of that is really important. So thank you for sharing that. That was beautiful.
Yeah, definitely. Kamal said it
My
well as
pleasure.
well.
Thank you.
Like, it takes a very high level of maturity and emotional stability in order to even have that that even, you know, work. But then, you know, having the greater vision of the possibilities of what, you know, what the main goal is key. Thank you for sharing that, John, for real.
And I'm sure those children are like, this is so beautiful. You know, this is so beautiful that all our fathers could be together at a wedding. You know, like, that's a beautiful thing, man. Thank you.
Definitely.
It's 8:40. I don't know what time we were supposed to go to. But this conversation has been great, man. Hopefully we can have another one, because
yeah, definitely. Catherine just wrote, we need to have a part 2. Definitely.
Hey guys, I want to mention, I did see a hand come up from S. S, where are you? I heard your voice before in our session. If there's something you still want to share, I'd love to hear from you before we wrap up.
Thank you for that acknowledgement. First of all, I want to say thank you, brothers, for facilitating this and stepping up and just being here present to represent for us, because we don't always get a chance to be represented sometimes, you know. I wanted to speak on the blended family aspect of, honestly speaking, even though I have 3 children and I love them dearly, but the truth of the matter is that I've been more of a present father in a blended family than I've been able to be with my own children. And you know, I still see my children when I can. I do what I can with them, but you know, the thing with blended families is that as much as you want to be there and build relationships, get connected, and you know, teaching them things and get to a point where you have a true relationship, you have to, on the other hand, you know, be prepared to, if things don't work out, disconnect. Not to say that you want to, because there's times where I think about the children I've had care of in the past, and I think about how they're doing, and think about, you know, the things we used to connect on, and hopefully that they're still building themselves individually. But you know, when that relationship's in with that mother and they don't want you to be around, there's not much you can do about that. And you know, it can be painful to be without missing from that child's life, even though they're not your biological. And you know, so with blended families, it can be a kind of a give and take situation where you have to just really be prepared of the reality of it. But you know, for those who do step up and realize that that child needs a presence who can guide them and teach them and bring that structure and love, it's still a very beautiful thing. And I respect anybody who can do that. And you know, overall, when it comes to just being present for our children, sons and daughters alike, you know, it's really, I really just appreciate for those who understand that it's about helping that child grow into their own and really become, you know, a functioning person who has the understanding of love, as well as discipline, and just who can actually be functioning in the world today without, you know, so much trauma, because so many of us have it. Even, you know, speaking for myself, I had both my parents in my life, but you know, I had my own emotional trauma for the fact that my parents, they weren't always physically present. They were working a lot. So it's a different type of abandonment that I had faced, you know, and I had my own issues and traumas that as a young boy that, you know, my parents weren't necessarily around for. But, you know, for those who were able to be present with the kids, again, I just say, enjoy your children every day you can. For those who, even if it's a minute, however long you have to be around them, enjoy them. Because I don't know, I guess I'm kind of emotional right now because I'm waking up this morning and I don't have any of my children around me right now. But it is what it is. You know, I know that when I do get to see him, I'm still gonna give him that love, and I'm still gonna be there for him. And no matter what it is that you went through as a person, your own trauma or whatever else, as long as you're doing your best to show up, you're doing your job. As long as you're doing your best to give that positivity and love, you're doing your job. And I encourage all the brothers out there to keep on doing it, to keep on pushing, and to keep on being upstanding men that will rebuild this community.
Forgive me, all. Forgive me, family. Sam, I don't receive this. I don't receive this on this morning. Thank you so much, first of all, for being here. I'm so overjoyed to see you, but you cannot give up. You cannot give up. I'm about to put our business out there. Sam is my godfather's son, and Sam has shown up in ways I think that he can admit where I don't agree with my godmother's mother pushing him out of her life, but I do understand. Sam has turned around, and you can't accept this. You can't accept this. You have people in your corner. The village has to step up, and as long as I have blood running through my veins and breath in my lungs, you will see your son. All right, this is what we're committed to this morning. I'm sorry, I had to interrupt and say that.
No,
I
it's
love
all right.
you, Sam.
Thank you. Love you too, my team. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sam, for sharing that. Not everybody has their children with them for Father's Day, and what you just shared with us was from a place of vulnerability. So thank you for sharing that, and we're sending you love as a community. We're here for you, and I know that's tough, but thank you for sharing that.
Definitely. And also too, Sam, I think like a big takeaway from just this session today is that, you know, one, if you're doing your due diligence and, you know, and as a father to a children recognize, you know, like they recognize the love and they recognize the growth. And as they grow into themselves, I'm sure that they will reach out just the same way that a lot of us have reached out to our fathers, regardless of, you know, the traumas that they've made it felt from them, you know, in order to kind of reimagine the relationship and redevelop it and create a new relationship. It happens. It can happen. It will happen, you know, but again, and thank you too, Marti, for sharing and just giving us some context and also giving Sam some support, because that's what we all need, honestly, as a community, is that support piece, right? So you're not here doing this by yourself, Sam. You know, we are here, and you have family in your corner, which is I can't even say that for everybody because everybody doesn't. So, you know, just be thankful and grateful for that as well. Yeah. So, so at this point, we're gonna have to start wrapping this up. Again, this was a super dope, super powerful session, guys. I wish that we could had another hour and a half, because I'm sure that we can definitely fill it without a problem. But
For sure. And I gotta hop off now, but I just want to say thank you. Thank you, Omari, and thank you to our admins, Kamau and John and Quasi, for this session. Hopefully we get a session 2. But I just want to thank you all for this morning. So happy Father's Day to all the fathers, and happy Juneteenth to everybody.
Excellent. Thank you, Dre. Happy Father's Day to you too, brother. I appreciate you.
Right, family. So as we prepare for closing, I just want to acknowledge our facilitators once again on an outstanding job. It is very clear that session 2, and I think that question that we didn't get to that can potentially guide us is what does the future of fatherhood look like? And we heard there's many reflections around some of the sensibilities, some of the intelligences, some of the characteristics that would go into this new level of fatherhood. And, you know, as we're fathers of the past, living in the present, moving towards the future, you know, those things that represent some of the sensibilities that don't serve in the role of fatherhood, as well as embracing these new ideas, these new muscles, these new strengths that help us to restore a healthy sense of fatherhood. So let me prepare these slides. I see some
Yeah,
Before we pull up the closing slides, we have two hands raised, and if the shares can be not lengthy, not lengthy. So first, let's bring in the rise of the unknown. I'd love to hear what you have to share.
Yes, hi, this is Teresa. I just want to thank you, all you fathers, because y'all fathered, whether y'all realize that we got fathered today by y'all, because y'all showed us how to embrace our fathers and forgive our, you help me embrace and forgive my father in areas. And thank you so much for this healing that take place, because it's never too late to get fathered. And so you showed me today how to go back and love up my dad in a different way. And I appreciate y'all so much for this. Thank y'all so much. And I love y'all. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, and Coach Fee, our final share for the morning.
All right. The video, peace and blessings, brothers and sisters, kings and queens. I just want to give a personal shout out to Sister Shawnee, who helped myself and my partner on our.
all right.
Can y'all mute Zahora, please?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Did you take my picture?
And also, happy Father's Day to all of the fathers. And personal shout out to Mother Sweetness, Sister Catherine Jennings, the one who I came through. So I just want to give her some praise in the moment. I'm a new father, and I just want to make sure I'm still on. I know there was some audio
No,
stuff.
you're still on, brother. We get you.
Okay. So first and foremost, moving forward, I love the segment everybody's sharing. Sometimes I just feel too humble to even share. I'm a new father. I can understand even some nights where I'm not with my child, how much that hurts. So I can almost not even fathom not being able to be with my child. So positive vibes out to all the brothers who are still fighting a good fight. I do want to lend a hand in saying that each day that we have an opportunity to make a choice. And so we just try and stay focused on that. Future fatherhood, I just want to put this out there. As I am a coach, I coached 10 years of college football. I played college football. I come from what I would consider to be a disciplinarian background in approaching guidance and teaching. And so I actually had to learn as I just started growing up. I'll be 36 this August. And I just started realizing that with a 17-week, I have a 17-week-old, everything that I thought and I saw for myself in being a man, a leader of a family, it's going to continue to change. And I'm glad that I put myself in the position of killing that ego, because I think the future of fatherhood is completely different than what the past looked like. And when I say completely different, meaning that role that we try to fit in as men, it has to be challenged. We have to ask ourselves why and what's the purpose. And I think I've done that. And that's just kind of the challenge of making sure we're being intentional about everything that we do, from the nutrition that we decide to give ourselves, our partners, our families, our children, and to why it's important for us to only concentrate on what's healthiest. And then the practices each day, determining what we want our children to be versus who we want them to be. I think that's a huge thing my partner and I have focused on. Is it's not really trying to pick a path for our child, but thinking about all of the different ways that dynamically that we can prepare our child for that path, and not vice versa. So whatever it is, but families, men, the ego, if it's starting to die, please kill it, because queens that they say we're supposed to lead, we actually need them. And I believe that it's important. I've had a different level of appreciation for the woman, and recognizing that life comes through her. And so the God within her has to shine. And I believe that it's our job, men, to uplift the queen so that our families can start to heal again and be more in touch with that emotional side.
Definitely.
That's my word. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate that share, man. It was definitely excellent, excellent, excellent. Congratulations to you as well. Happy Father's Day. I'm glad you're celebrating your first Father's Day with us, man.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Congratulations. Happy Father's Day to you, King.
All right, so that's a perfect and powerful way to close out. So now we're just going to go through and be able to have information shared. So Brother Omari, please.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Kamal. If you, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get in contact with me, this is all my personal contact information. Again, my name is Omari Maynard. You can hit me on Facebook, Artful Living BK, on Instagram, M_U_Z. That's Muzz, that's my art name. And also the ARIA Foundation. And email address, omari.maynard@gmail.com. And my website, you can see as an artist, I created a whole bunch of different pieces. I got a lot of work up there, a lot of dope stuff up there, so you can check it out. It's omarimaynard.com. We go to the next slide. Awesome. And this is contact information for Dre. Dre is awesome, super powerful, man. And like, yo, like he's doing a lot within the maternal health, healthcare space in itself. Super, as y'all know, super dope, super powerful brother. Andre Travis Nelson @gmail.com. And if you enjoyed what you saw today and want to shower us for Father's Day, because these kids are not cheap, guys, please, love offerings and donations are accepted. You can Zelle quick pay through Soul Leadership Development @gmail.com, or you can Cash App at $ Spirit of a Woman, and use the code 611-DAD, 611-DAD, 611th Wake Up Everybody show. And if you want to continue to provide us love offerings, which this is super dope, and it makes so much sense, please just put it on monthly automated. That's what everybody should just be doing regardless of the fact. Put it on a monthly automated love offering. As you can see, you can do different denominations of donations. 25 is excellent, 100 is even better. So please screenshot this slide specifically, and then, we'll cover it and taken care of. So thank you, guys. And if you enjoyed what you saw today, and I'm sure you have, you will be back tomorrow and the next. So tomorrow we have Grow Your Wealth with Bitcoin, facilitated by Ellen Goolsby. And then on Tuesday, June 21st, Beauty Equity, facilitated by Jennifer Tupur, or Jennifer T. We'll just leave it at that. So please come in for those sessions as well. Thank you guys so much, man. I love and appreciate y'all. John, you can take it away from here, please. And again, thank you, Wake Up. It's always dope, always excellent sessions. Please, please, please share with your family and your friends, because this is a dope super space that is co-created organically by community. Thank you.
Right, and so what we have next, family, welcome all newcomers into our space. We're grateful for your presence and your contribution today in co-creating this powerful experience. Continue to come back, continue to consider yourself home. Once you come into the space, this is your home. And we are a community that is continued to do and devoted to learning, elevating, and ascending. So welcome all newbies. Right, and our schedule, as you can see, is Zoom Live. We're on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 7 to 8:30 a.m. Mondays and Wednesdays from 7 to 7:30. All right, and so this is how you can stay connected into our weekly schedule. So Please stay connected. Zoom live workshops, stream live on Facebook, and Woo Alert text is 74121. All right, and listen, everybody, we got to get our Woo wear together so that you can represent ourselves and continue this powerful transformational work, right? And so having it represented in our swag, and so that you're able to have on the attire and have all of the inspiration that comes from this particular mission, this particular movement that we have. So yeah, please, when you have an opportunity, visit us online at bit.ly Woo Swag with bit.ly/Woo Swag, excuse me. And stay in touch. This is how you can keep our hands on our pulse. Okay, register at bit.ly/Wake Up Movement. We're on Facebook, bit.ly/Woo Community, and bit.ly/Woo Nation. Right, we're on the gram at Wake Up Everybody Virtual. Check us out on WooTube, bit.ly Woo on YouTube, and our email is info.wakeupseries@gmail.com. Right. So again, stay in touch. You know, if anybody's interested in facilitating, anybody's interested in the administrative work, please reach out to us. All right. And at this time, we're gonna unmute, and for Brother Andre and Brother Omari, this is the time to shower them with love and gratitude for powerful engagement and powerful facilitation. You know, so let's give it up for them. Let's give it up.
We appreciate y'all, brothers.
Yes.
All Father's Day, no less.
Thank you so much. This was awesome.
Thank you for doing the work.
Appreciate y'all.
Necessary conversation.
Fabulous.
Support everybody.
Planning to come back.
Morning.
Y'all don't
Appreciate
come
you,
often
brother.
enough.
Keep it going, please.
Around the
Especially to our children. Wow.
I appreciate it, though.
Thank you so much. This was strong stuff.
Thank you.
Looking forward to
Thank you.
part two. Looking forward
all the brothers that
to
spoke, those
Thank
that came
you.
up and showed up, y'all were amazing.
Being fathers, I love
y'all.
Yeah,
Have a wonderful Father's
thank
Day
you
and a
for being
wonderful
conscious
Juneteenth.
brothers. Thank you so much.
All the ladies that
You
showed up.
now to bring the rest of those brothers over.
Love y'all.
the presenters.
Y'all were amazing.
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 Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
It's so awesome.
Strong stuff. Awesome.
Thank you. Yes, for the fathers. Yes. Fathers in the house. Fathers in the house. Fathers in the house.
Let's dance with our
Fathers in the
father.
house.
Great
Fathers
session.
in the
Happy
house.
Father's Day.
Fathers in the house.
What you doing?
Yes, it's amazing.
Keep your head up.
We
Everybody.
love y'all. It was amazing.
Thank you for sharing your.
Amazing.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
Thank you, fathers. Thank you. We love y'all.
Thank you. Awesome
Good to
stuff.
see everyone that I haven't seen in a while too. Love y'all.
Appreciate you sharing your day
Changing
with
the
us.
world.
Yeah.